Hi, my name is Bente, I'm the Norse Witch, and for today's video, grab yourself a hot beverage or a snack of your choice, because this week's video will be a very chill and relaxed Q&A. I needed it, trust me. Still in the depth of renovation, and well, I don't have a different excuse than I don't have a lot of energy and brain space for filming right now. So I really needed something that I could get done very quickly and that is still fun. And I think Q&As fall under that category. So a Q&A for today's video it is. As always, my patrons and YouTube members have Q&A priority, so I will answer their questions first. I don't know if any one of them already asked anything, because to be fair, I think I asked 4 questions like 6 or 7 hours ago, so we will see. But yeah, without further ado, let's go. Alrighty, just checked. No patron or YouTube member questions yet, so I guess let's start with the Instagram questions. First question is, would you feel comfortable to share what's on your altar and maybe even show it? I would show it right now, but it has already been dismantled. It's already in boxes, ready to be moved. So I cannot show it right now, but I think I have multiple redoing my altar space and altar tour videos on my channel, so you can definitely check out what my altars looked like, because it hasn't really changed that much in the past 1 or 2 years. My main magical workspace, I wouldn't call it an altar anymore, because I don't really honor anyone there. It's really only a workspace, which also holds witchy paraphernalia and my tools and everything. So that's what's in there, a lot of my tools, like my knives and a lot of candles, candle holders, cauldrons, incense blends, herbs, stones, dirts, anything like that. My deity altar included a statue for the deities in my hearth cult, so the ones that are kind of closer to me, statues for them and candles for them. And then sometimes like some decor or offerings that I gave them. Freya had quite some stuff. Then usually an incense holder and something to hold an offering, so either a bowl or a glass or something like that. That's always on my altars. That's the same with my ancestor altar, also always has like a glass or a bowl or something for food or drink offerings, and then something to burn incense, and photos of some of my ancestors, their jewelry, a lot of things that I inherited from my grandparents had that on my altar. Yeah, things like that. Deeds are moving in. Have you noticed any energies already? Is there a space that has you excited? I haven't moved in yet, we're still renovating. But I will be moving in the middle of April. Have I noticed any energies already? I quickly connected with the house spirit, and the house spirit felt nice and friendly, but also a little bit timid, not very pushy or anything. What I noticed was that I see something from the corner of my eye, which in my flat doesn't happen. So I'm suspecting that that's the house spirit. At least the house spirit said that there is no one else living there. But of course, I haven't put any wards up yet or anything. I will do that once we move in. So it's possible that just spirits are passing through or something. I don't know. But yeah, that's what I noticed this far. But to be fair, I haven't had a lot of time to just sit down and connect and meditate or anything, because we're just constantly 24/7 renovating from the early mornings to the late evenings. So at the moment, I don't really have a lot of brain space and energy for anything apart from renovation. What are you most looking forward to growing in your garden? That's such a good question, because the garden at the moment, it kind of has one little corner right in the back of the garden where there is, I feel like, more of the original growth. So some birches and a juniper bush and an old apple tree, and it seems a little bit more like that's what was originally growing there. And then more towards the house, it's very like typical German garden plants, and I do not like those. A lot of them are invasive, they're not native here, so I would like to definitely, if I can, because of course that whole garden is a spirit environment in itself and I don't really want to disrupt it that much. But if I can, I want to remove a lot of those invasive and non-native species and learn just a lot about our native species, which ones are good for insects, especially wild bees. I haven't done heavy research yet. I mean, I already know quite a lot, I think, about what plants are native around the area, but I haven't done any deep dive into that yet because we will probably get started on the garden next year. We really want to focus on inside the house and get the inside of the house done this year and then focus on the outside next year. Let's be honest, the garden isn't the most important part about the house. It's probably one of the most fun parts of buying a house, but not the most important one. So for now we're focusing on the inside, and then next year we're going to be looking at the outside. We also definitely want to grow a lot of vegetables and fruit, and herbs and everything. So just like culinary plants, a lot of them. We want a big greenhouse. Yes, that's the word. We want a big greenhouse. Yeah, but apart from that, I haven't really thought too much of it yet. What made you decide to share your practice on YouTube? Has the reason changed since? Originally I started because it was a task from Odin. So Odin tasked me not specifically to make a YouTube channel, but to share what I know. And I decided to turn it into a YouTube channel because I was always interested in doing YouTube. I kind of felt strange just making a channel about myself, and then that was the perfect moment to just say, all right, now I have a topic to talk about, I have this task, so I will do YouTube. Honestly, that's still the reason why I'm doing it. I'm not necessarily a person who has to document everything. That's something that I've realized over the past 1 or 2 years is I'm not necessarily like a vlogger. I'm not a person who will take their camera everywhere. I'm just not that kind of person. I kind of dislike that because I don't really have a lot of photos or videos of anything or of me doing anything. That's also why I'm not like a weekly vlogger or anything like that, because I'm just not a person who will take their camera with them everywhere. So I'm not a person who feels the need to constantly document their life. I'm a person who wants to share their knowledge and with that help the community. What are your energy sensing and or spirit communication methods? I mostly feel energies. I'm a very clairsentient person and a very emotional person, so I kind of feel things emotionally and physically. So I mostly do things that way. For example, when I'm communicating with spirits, I will use my hands as a pendulum, so I will tell them to, for a yes, touch my left hand, for a no, touch my right hand, and then I can ask questions. That's pretty handy. I also sometimes use tarot or pendulums or runes, so like typical divination methods. I think those are the things that I do most often, apart from, of course, meditation and spirit flight and then directly communicating through that. How can I stay motivated with my practice if I can't actually do any spells? So I don't know why you say that you can't do any spells. Maybe you are a minor living with your parents and they are not supportive or something like that. Maybe there's a different reason. But if the reason is because you are not living in an environment that is supportive, I always say you can always cast spells outside. If you have like a nature space around you where you can go, then you can always cast spells there too. But I kind of feel like spells themselves don't make you a witch or a practitioner. There's a lot of other things that you can do. One major thing for me would be, for example, spirit communication. You can interact with spirits so much and you don't have to cast any spells for that. That's for me a big way in which I stay connected with my craft when I'm not casting any spells, because honestly, I said that over and over again, I don't cast a lot of spells simply because I don't feel the need to. I don't have a reason to cast spells a lot, but I'm still a witch, I'm still a practitioner. For me, a lot of it is heathen living alongside spirits, interacting with them. I don't know if you work with deities, but of course that's a big thing. And perceiving seasonal changes, going out into nature, connecting there. Doing divination. I mean, divination is a big thing that you can do that doesn't require any spells. And that's also something you can do without any tools. If you're not, for some reason, allowed or you can't get any tools, then you can do that also out in nature. You can ask the question, go out and look for omens, for example. There's a lot of different divination techniques that you can use that don't require any tools. Oh, by the way, bird flight and meditation, also a great way that doesn't require any tools and that you can do in the evening in bed when everyone thinks you're sleeping. So there's a lot you can do, and you don't have to constantly cast spells. Coffee asks, how have you been? Oh, thank you. Happy and exhausted. In case anyone doesn't know, we recently bought a house and we are currently renovating the house, and that means for the entire month of March we are switching in between our flats that we're living in and the house that we're renovating, and it's always 2 days here, 2 days there, or 3 days here, 2 days there, because of course both of us also have cats, so we can't just move into the house for a month. So we always have to drive in between our spaces and then renovate, get back, pack some stuff here, do some things that we have to do here, go back, renovate, and it's exhausting. My body is slowly giving up. I'm actually having problems with EDS for the first time. I knew that I have very hypermobile fingers and everything, but now they actually really hurt because I'm just straining them too much. But alongside all of that exhaustion and just bodily strain, it's also just very fulfilling because we're slowly getting out of the demolition phase and into the wow, now we actually have a finished room phase. And it's also extremely fun to see how much I'm actually able to do. As a lot of AFAB people, I was never really taught any handiwork, so I wasn't taught woodwork, I wasn't taught how to do wallpapers or how to paint walls or anything like that. So I'm just doing a lot of these things for the first time ever, and I'm learning a lot of things, and I'm also learning that I'm actually a very handy person, which is kind of nice to know. Actually yesterday, I put up wallpapers for 12 hours in my future work and witchy room, and that was exhausting but also made me very happy. So learning a lot of things. My body's exhausted, but my brain is very happy. We just got our kitchen. It's like, I would say it's 85 to 90% done. There's some things that didn't really work out the way we wanted them to. And one part is still missing because they couldn't get the parts. So there's just some things that are still missing that we're still waiting for, but we can actually cook in the house now. For the first 3.5 weeks in the house, we were living off of cheap ass food and bread and cereals and things, which was not healthy and not yummy. So yesterday we ate in our actual new kitchen for the first time. That was exhilarating. So yeah, brain is happy, body is very tired. I can't wait to finally move and get rid of my apartment so that at least I don't have to live in 2 spaces simultaneously, because that's kind of exhausting. When you wrap your head, are you doing it as protection or because you think it looks cool? It definitely does. So I guess you're talking about this headscarf. At the moment, I'm usually just doing it because I like the way it looks, but I have done it a couple of times for protective purposes. Just put like some protective oil on it or something. But it's not like every time I'm wearing it, I'm veiling. That's not what I'm doing. Mostly, I just think it looks cool. And I agree, it definitely does. I like the pirate style. What's your favorite way to reset and start again after stress or life being life? Oh, that's a good question. Usually taking a step back, taking a break, doing nothing for a weekend or something, going for long walks in nature, that's a big one, retreating into the forest. But sometimes it's also just days of playing video games or isolating myself for 2 days reading, whatever I feel like really, but for me I usually isolate and retreat because I'm an introvert and I build up energy by being alone. So as not cool as it may sound, that's usually what I do. Hi Bente, I'm so curious about your epic tattoos. I would love a tattoo tour, but to ask you just one question, what was your first or favorite tattoo and the story behind it, if you're comfortable sharing? Okay, yeah, tattoo tour. I get asked for tattoo tours so often and I'm always like, why? I don't know. So I don't know if I will ever do a tattoo tour. I'm being asked a lot about that, but I kind of feel like that's not a very witchy or Norse pagan topic, and my channel is about witchcraft and Norse paganism. I don't know. But my first or favorite tattoo, my first one is this ugly motherfucker. I don't know if you can even see it. Right there. It's this tiny little gray blob. It just looks like a gray blob now because a friend who owns a tattoo gun did it when I was 18, when I just turned 18, and I really wanted a tattoo, but I didn't have any clue about tattoos and tattoo artists and what to look out for. So I wanted to get a musical note tattooed, and it all blurred, and now it's just a blob. And I decided to just tattoo around it, so now nobody really sees it, but that was the first one. My favorite one is a hard one. I think my favorite one is either my chest piece, which you can't really see, but I have a lynx here, which I really love, especially in combination with the rowan branches on my neck. But I also really like my head tattoo, which you also can't see right now. And my hands, I will always love my hand tattoos. I think those are my favorites. Oh, and the story behind it. Oh yeah, the story behind it. I got the lynx tattooed because my Filgia shows up as a lynx, so that's the reason for that. The rowan is because the rowan is one of my main plant allies, and I really want to get most, or if not all of them, tattooed at some point. The head tattoo doesn't really have a story behind it. I just wanted a head tattoo, and I thought the shape would look cool on my head, so I decided on that. And again, my hand tattoos, plant allies, blackberry and St. John's wort. So I just like getting my plant allies tattooed. Hi Bente, what's your favorite tea blend for a low energy day? Something like the one I'm drinking right now actually, which is green tea with lemon. Matcha also really works well, which also is a type of green tea. So anything green tea really. I also like a black tea. I think green tea can go into two directions. If you, for example, drink a green tea with vanilla, it's very chill. But if you drink a green tea with, for example, orange or lemon or something like that, then it really spices it up and gives you a lot of energy and motivation. And under that question, someone else also asked, I would love just a generalized top 5 tea list. Where do you prefer to purchase your teas? Do you have a preference for black tea, green tea, white tea, or herbal teas? That's a good question because I drink a lot of mixed teas. So I very rarely drink just a green tea or just a black tea. I usually drink a black tea with something or a green tea with something. I like a classic chai though. A very classic chai, I like that. That would be one of my favorites for sure. A green tea with vanilla, definitely up there. I think a good Darjeeling is a good one too. The one that I can never pronounce in English, rooibos or something. Rooibos? I don't know how it's pronounced in English and I will never get it. That one mixed with basically anything. I have that mixed with so many things. With caramel, it's amazing with caramel. That's great. I mean, yeah, matcha's tea. I love matcha. I drink so much matcha. I love it. My camera died, but now we're back. I think we were talking about tea. Oh yeah, do you have a preference for black tea, green tea, white tea, or herbal teas? I think green tea is my favorite out of all of those. But I also really like a black tea. I very rarely drink white teas, but I think that's only because white tea blends aren't really that common here. You get them, but you don't get as many white tea blends as you can get green or black. And of course, herbal teas are always cool, but I think I drink green tea blends more often than I do just herbal blends. Oh, and where do you prefer to purchase your teas? I forgot that one. Honestly, some of my teas I just buy at the supermarket, just cheap little tea bags. But I really like a store here in Hamburg, which is called Wasserschloss. And it's just a shop where you can get everything surrounding tea. And it's just a shop full of tea blends and you can smell all of them. And whenever I go there, I spend way too much money. And they also have cute teacups and teapots, and they also have like alcohols and things like that. I really like it. And I think my favorite tea blends are from there, for sure. What got you started down the Norse witch path? Did you ever have to hide your practice from your family or friends? Is German society fairly accepting of alternative religions? Okay, I already answered the first question. Did you ever have to hide your practice from family or friends? No, because I started when I had already moved out, and also even if I had started earlier, my parents aren't very religious at all, but they are very accepting, so I never had to hide anything. And is German society fairly accepting of alternative religions? People pretend that they are, but they actually aren't. At least that's usually my experience, is that religion is really not a topic you discuss. Especially at work, there's two things you don't discuss, and that's politics and religion. A lot of people, at least here in Northern Germany, I don't know if it's the same in East Germany or South Germany, for example, but here in Northern Germany, most people, I would say, are agnostic or atheists, and a lot of people are just, not really accepting of any religions. Even if you would tell them that you are Christian or that you are Jewish or that you are a Muslim, they would still think you're strange. So I think a lot of people are just in general not really accepting of religions, and there are a lot of people here that actually say that all religions are bad and all religions make the world worse. I would say no, even though people would like to pretend that they're so open and that they are accepting of religions, but a lot of people actually aren't. That's why I don't talk about it at work at all. Is it okay to decline a deity that may be reaching out to you? Yes. For sure. I always say deities are not better than you, and I like to approach relationships with deities similarly to a relationship with a different human being. And if someone in the street comes up to you and asks you to be their friend and you don't want to, you probably say no. So there is no point in working with a deity if you're not interested in it. You for sure don't have to do anything, neither with a deity nor a spirit. If they approach you and you're not interested, tell them and move on. What's your favorite stone or gem? I love moonstones and even bought some for the jewelry I want to make for devotional jewelry. Yeah, moonstone is very nice. I really like rutilated quartz. I think it just looks very stunning. I love a good moss agate or anything with inclusions. Cherry blossom agate is also very, very cute. I don't really collect crystals anymore, so I have to really think about it. I mean, I always love a good clear quartz cluster, like one that really looks very striking, but just a raw cluster. I'm a big fan of raw crystals, raw celestite, raw amethyst, raw clear quartz, anything that is a geode or a cluster. I really like those. There are a lot that I like. I don't really work with them anymore, but I think they are fascinating. In general, minerals and fossils and everything, they're really cool. Hi there, hope you're having a great day. Same. Do you have any tips on how to work with a deity that we don't know a lot about historically? Is it okay to draw your own conclusions to a certain extent? How would you go about that? For sure. I think if you want to work with a deity that we don't know a lot about, then the only thing you can do is approach it from a more intuitive perspective, because what else are you going to do? But I think to an extent that's what always happens when you work with a deity, because I don't think if you start working, let's say, with Freya or Thor, whom we know quite a lot about, I think even if you work with them, you will always get to know them from a slightly different perspective. I think you will always get to know things that weren't in any textual sources, for example. I think you will always experience more things with the deity than what you know from the sources. So what happens if you work with a deity that we don't know a lot about is simply that there's less that we know from the sources, so there's more to experience and to get to know about them through your own work and experience with them. I think that is totally fine. I personally think that your own experience with a deity is very important if you want a work relationship. If you're just venerating them, then of course you don't really need that. But if you want to properly work with them, then of course you need to have a deeper, let's say a deeper base than just what you know from textual sources. And wow, how do you go about that? I mean, I would always say direct communication is best, so find a way in which you can communicate with them. And I have a lot of different videos about that. I have an entire playlist about deity work, so you can check that out. I'm a very intuitive person, and I am all for direct communication and making your own experiences with deities, so you will definitely find information about that in my deity work playlist. But yeah, direct communication is key, I think. And then just give it time. Over time, you will gain more experience with them, and then your relationship will get deeper and deeper, and you will get to know them better and better. And usually everything will make sense. At least that's my experience. While I was filming, I actually got questions through Patreon. So let's do that one now. Sorry that I couldn't answer the question in the beginning, but I didn't have it when I started filming. What is your favorite folklore story and why? Oh, that's a good question. I personally love all of the stories about the Nisse/Tomte/Nispuk. A lot of them are just adorable, especially when you read stories about the Tomte fighting each other over resources and things like that, because they live on neighboring estates and then they meet each other and they fight each other and things. I think those are very nice. I like a lot of the Icelandic stories about rowan trees. There's also a lot of devil folklore about, in general there's a lot of devil folklore, especially devil herbal folklore, but there's also a lot of interesting devil blackberry bramble folklore, which is also pretty cool. Have you ever had to banish a ghost or a spirit? If so, what was it doing and how did you banish it? Did I? Wait, let me try to remember. I don't think so. After the Iceland trip, Olivia and I were staying in Reykjavik for some time, longer than the rest of the group, and we had an encounter with a spirit that wasn't very nice. But we didn't have to banish it in the end because Thor chimed in and helped out. So I didn't have to banish it actively, but I asked Thor for help and Thor helped. But I didn't have to banish it. Apart from that, I actually didn't have to banish any spirits, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, because I haven't really lived in a haunted place or anything like that. I haven't encountered any spirits that were like trying to hurt me or were disrupting my life in any way, I actually do believe that you don't have to banish spirits as often as some people may think. I think a lot of times communicating with them and finding out why they are why they are acting the way that they are, or what's bothering them, and then fixing that. In a lot of cases, that is much more fruitful than banishing them. I'm not one of those people who would banish any spirit who just mildly annoys me. I will much rather communicate with them and try why they are doing it. There's usually a reason why a spirit is acting up, and to me that hasn't really happened yet. Alrighty, with that being said, my tea is gone, and I'm also all through the questions. Thank you so much for asking me questions. For some reason, I always really enjoy filming Q&As. Maybe it's just the Leo in me who likes to talk about themselves. I don't know. But thank you so much for helping me film a video when I don't have the brain space and the brain capacity to come up with an actual video topic. Again, just bear with me. The videos will get more interesting again once I have more time and energy. But I really wanted to still upload some videos. I didn't want to leave you hanging without a video for a month. So at least you have something to watch. With that being said, I hope you still enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to subscribe and give it a thumbs up and ring the bell down below so that you're notified whenever I upload a new video. Feel free to check out my other socials, and in case you want to support this channel, then make sure to check out my Patreon or my YouTube membership. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!